So recently I did my first hike and I had a little bit of a technical issue with the wind. Now, last year I found a really good hack for a DIY wind muffler for my phone, and I use my old mobile phone as my recording camera for my hikes now, and it's been working really well. So I've upgraded from an S7. I'm now on an S10, so this is now surplus to requirements, so I use this as a separate recording camera. It's got loads of memory on it, etc. And what I do, I use it on a selfie stick. I have a selfie stick that I accidentally broke the tripod off, but it's perfect for walking around in. So I can put it on there like that, and then I can just record everything and talk to the camera and whatever. And it does the job. It does the job on a minimal, non-existent budget. But I found this DIY hack, and it involved a sponge and a pair of scissors and a couple of tiny elastic bands. So I made this last year, and this year, well, you may not notice it on the video that I've just put up because I had to really heavily edit out the wind noise, and I think I've managed to deal with most of that, but it's still a bit annoying. And so I made a muffler last year, and what I've noticed this year is that I've used it so much that it's worn through. I don't know if you can see, it's almost worn through at that middle point there, and that's where the mic is on the phone. So I'm going to make a new one, and I'm going to show you how I do it so that I've got a DIY hack for this channel. It is also over on my other channel under my hikes playlist, but I thought I'd make another one here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make one that's a little bit more generous so that we have less of a problem with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the curve on the end so that it helps to give extra protection to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up like that. So this is a standard cheap 70p bath sponge, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut from about there. Let's be more, actually, do you know what, I'm just going to cut the sponge in half. It's just easier. So the sponge is now cut in half, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a channel into this bit here running down there, and it needs to be deep enough so that it will slot onto the end of the phone, but it doesn't want to be too deep because otherwise I'm going to run out of that nice edge that I've got here. So I'm just going to cut a 1 inch deep groove, because when you're out in very windy environments, particularly when you're hiking up on the moors, it can get very breezy, and I don't want this blowing off. So theoretically this will slot on its own, but what I tend to do is add a couple of elastic bands because I'm always afraid it's going to blow off and go off the edge of the moors, and I have no muffler at all. So what I've done is I've cut in a groove into the end there, and all I'm going to do is get my phone, push it into the slot, and now I have a muffler, and that's it. And I tested this last year before I started using it, and you can still get all the sound through the phone. Also, you can still press the buttons so that you can still get to the on off for the to switch the light if I've got the phone off and I just want to get to it. So that theoretically will stay on its own, and then what I can do, I can get my selfie stick and now it's protected. Now, if you're worried about it being a particularly windy day, what you can do, and what I've tended to do just in case, is get a small elastic band and put the elastic band on one end to the other end, and that will just give it a little bit of protection. So you just have to make sure it's not over your camera. And now you're fully protected for extra windy days. You could also cut a slightly deeper groove in there and use that, or you could wind the bands around this way. This works best for me. And once I've got this set up for the day, I won't need to take it off again. I can still use the buttons through the sponge. And if I double click there, you can just see there, you can see that are the video buttons, so that it's still easy to get to. And what you can also do if you need to, I think you can turn it around the other way as well. So that is my easy hack for a muffler. And that's a bit tougher than the previous one I was using. So this has done me well. I made this early last year from a video that I found on YouTube from another YouTuber. This has now had its day, and you can see how much thinner that was. And that was really all I needed to do the job. But with an extra thicker bit on, that'll just give it some extra oomph. You can also, if you don't have that, or you're not able to, or you don't want to, you can get a pair of headphones with a mic on them. So I have this as a backup, and if you could put sponge, or in this case I've got some fluff left over from a project, and you can plug that into your phone. That will also work as a muffler, and then you can just clip that wherever you need to, so that you can record as well. But I don't like being attached to the phone, because if I want to put this down for any reason, I've got to pull the mic off or whatever. So this just works really well. This is a brilliant way of just ensuring that the wind isn't a problem. And that's it, basically. That's the lot. So I hope you found that useful. That's basically my setup for going out on windy moorlands. It's the price of a piece of sponge is perfect. So I hope you enjoyed that. And now I can get out and hike again, and I won't have that awful wind problem that I've had. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.